What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sales Training University series that I'm running here. I have two purposes that I want to serve with the Sales Training University. One is to give you a university level education in sales and in business and personal development at zero cost, because everything here is free on my YouTube channel and all the value and information that I give is for free. And the second purpose is to compress over a decade of personal experience in sales and in business into days for you. And what I mean by days is, of course, into videos and segments like this that you can watch and really digest and absorb and gather this information so that you can apply it to your own sales career, to your own business, and to your own life, and to hopefully speed up the process. All the things that I've learned from my experience you can take and you can apply in a day. And that's the beauty and value of giving information and helping other people from things that you've learned in your journey. And that's my goal here. So all the nice things being said, let's get right into the sales training. So in today's video, I want to talk about prospecting and why it's the bloodline for your business, why it's the oxygen for your business, and why it's one of the most fundamental things that as a sales professional and also as a business owner or entrepreneur, you should pay attention to and you should put a lot of your focus on a day-to-day basis and also on a macro basis, monthly, quarterly, yearly. And I'll get into some rules and principles that I have for prospecting and that I've personally used to pass on to hundreds and hundreds of other sales professionals and entrepreneurs that I've worked with in my time. And these things have served me well, and I personally like to live and run my business and my sales career by principles that are evergreen. So I'm sure they're going to serve you just as well into the future as well. So before I get into some of my rules and principles for prospecting, I want you to imagine what an abundance of leads could do for your business. If you're a sales professional, I want you to think what 10 more prospects per month, 20, 50, 100 more prospects per month could do for your sales career, could do for your numbers, could do for your income, for your commission. If you're an entrepreneur or business owner, I want you to think with the same thing, 10, 50, 100 new prospects per month added onto your current flow of business, what that would mean for your business. I want you to do the math and add a monetary value to this so that you can start to really grasp how important prospecting is and why it's the number one thing when it comes to oxygen for your business. It's really what your business feeds off of. And just as we need oxygen, and it's something that we may not always think about, but sure enough, your next breath is just as important, if not more important, as your last one. It's the same thing when it comes to sales, and it's the same thing when it comes to business. So now that you understand the value of prospecting and why it's the lifeline of your business, let's get right into the rules. Rule number one is always fill the top of the funnel. Now, this is such a common mistake that I see with sales professionals and even with business owners. They get comfortable with their prospecting. So as things are going well and they're getting results and they're closing deals, they get comfortable and they sit back and they stop prospecting. It's one of the most fundamental mistakes that you could make, and it's something that I see amongst all sales professionals in all industries. It's so common that it hurts to watch, because they don't understand that not filling the top of the funnel will eventually catch up with you. Sooner or later, it will catch up with you. This is a proven rule. It's how the world operates. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's the reality. What I want you to understand is, if you want to have a successful sales career or a successful business, rule number one is to always fill the top of the funnel and to continue filling the top of the funnel over and over and over again. It's a never-ending process. And that's not something to be demotivated by. It's something to actually get excited by, because you understand that the control of your business or of your sales career, of your numbers, of your income, of your revenue is in your own hands. That's something that drew me to sales at a young age. It was the fact that I could control my own income and I could control my own future, essentially, because my finances were in my hands. It was up to me how much prospecting I did. And in that way, I controlled my commission and my income and my finances, and everything else stemmed from there. So rule number two of prospecting, and this is something that I drilled into sales professionals that I worked with and business owners and entrepreneurs that I partnered with so many times, is something I truly believe in. And it tends to solve a lot of problems when it comes to prospecting, and that is frequency before greatness. And that's a nice saying and it's a nice way to put it. But what that really means is you got to do the work. You have to take action. You have to take the steps that are necessary to get the results that you want. Frequency before greatness means before you get great and before results come to you and you get to that end goal that you desire and that end vision that you have in mind, you need to be frequent. You need to do more. You need to take action. You need to take more action than everybody else around you. If you're a sales professional, that means you need to be making more cold calls, knocking more doors, sending more DMs, hitting people up, getting in front of prospects. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, same thing. That means you need to manage your team and lead and allow them the opportunities to do the same thing. To sum it up, you need to get frequent before you get great. And it's a prerequisite. It's something that cannot be replaced. There is no alternative. There is no cutting corners. There's no way around it. To get great, you need to get frequent. So do more, take more action, and start that today, because the sooner you start, the sooner you build the muscle, and the more this will become second nature for you. That in any environment you're in, whether you're in sales or you're in business, you tend to dominate your competition because you've built that muscle, that habit of taking a lot of action, of being frequent, of understanding what it really takes to become great. And then the greatness follows. I'm telling you from personal experience, any sales industry that I've gone in and I've shattered records and set the standard all across the industry, what I've done is I've been frequent. I've taken the unfair advantage of outworking everybody, being more frequent than everybody, and therefore I became great, so-called, and reached the success levels that everybody else aspired to way before everybody else, because I knew that principle and I practiced that principle. I'll give you a follow-up rule that I have on the frequency before greatness rule, which is the rule of 500. Really, it should be the rule of 1000. I'm being a little bit lenient here. I want you to not get too scared and apply this and not shy away from it. The rule of 500 is something I've taught all the sales professionals and everybody that I've worked with in the past. And that's, you need to get in front of 500 prospects before you can really make any kind of assessments or judgments, or thinking that your product or service doesn't work or people don't want it, or any of these excuses or things that come to mind when prospecting gets hard, when it gets challenging to get in front of people, get them interested, and get them to buy and take them through your sales process. You start to rationalize things to yourself, and it happens to all sales professionals. It's normal. You're not the only one that's thinking these things. But one thing I want you to think with on this frequency before greatness topic is the rule of 500. So every time that an excuse comes to your mind, or you start thinking your product or your service isn't good enough, or people just don't want to buy it, think to yourself, have I gotten in front of 500 prospects and showed up the way I should have, given the right presentations, qualified and fact find properly, presented my proposal, persisted on closing the deal? Have I done everything in my power and control? And have I done that in front of 500 prospects at a minimum in order to really prove this theory out, in order to really get a pulse on the market and on what people want, what people don't want, if your product or service needs to be tweaked, or your offer might need to be changed, or your price range is too high or too low, whatever it may be. The rule of 500 is something that helps with all of these things, and it's a essentially magic tool to wipe away all your problems. It's solved a lot of problems for me. And if you're a manager or a leader, you're going to love this rule. I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of times I've gotten phone calls with sales professionals that I've managed or that have reported directly to me, and they bring me all these problems. And the first thing I've asked them is, how many people have you gotten in front of? How many people have said this? How many people have brought up this specific objection, for example? And they would say, 2, 3, 4 people in the last month. Okay, great. 3, 4, 2 people are not enough people for me to make an assessment on, or for me to even waste my time giving you feedback or advice on what you're asking me for. So how about we get in front of 500 people, get an accurate assessment, and then come back to me, and I'll love to help you. And you just got a glimpse into my style of leadership and my style of management. It's no nonsense, no bullshit. It's getting the work done, doing the right things, following the right principles, and we get results every single time. I personally don't look at results and the outcomes that I want as a maybe. I look at them as simple math. If I do the right things in the right quantities, I will get the right results. And sales and business is really that simple when it comes down to the core of it. And if you understand prospecting, you understand that you can ultimately control your sales career and your business, and that's what we all want. And the third rule of prospecting that I'll share with you is something that I heard at the age of 16 years old, and it's stuck with me and served me to this day. So just imagine how valuable these words are. Don't let the simplicity of the words or the grammar or the way it's put together fool you. This is one of the most fundamental principles in sales and in business. So I got this principle at the age of 16 from my first and favorite mentor to this day, Jim Rohn. Rest in peace. He was one of the greatest sales leaders, business leaders, philosophers of our time. And, he was alive when I was younger and unfortunately passed away. And his philosophies on sales and business have carried through. He's mentored Tony Robbins, and he's essentially the father of personal development to all of these gurus and coaches and business moguls that you see today. And this rule was the law of averages, and it's a specific part of the law of averages that I want to really cover with you. In this rule of law of averages, what Jim Rohn used to say is, when you're new as a sales professional, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you make up in numbers what you lack for in skill. I'll say that again. When you're a new sales professional or entrepreneur or business owner, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. And that relates directly to prospecting when you're brand new in sales as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or even if you're not new and you just don't have the results that you want with your finances and your career, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill, which means you take more action. It goes back to the frequency before greatness. It means you do more. You make up in numbers. You get in front of 10 people instead of getting in front of one. If you know it takes you 2 people to close the deal, get in front of 20, right? You make up in numbers what you lack in skill. Now, there's a second part to that that's super important. It's a second subdivision of that rule or that law of averages. And it's something that a lot of people miss because oftentimes it's not explicitly stated. It's implicit and you have to really understand it, or you just have to have enough sales experience to grasp this second part. And this second part is what interests me. Somebody like me, and I'm sure you're the same, who's a go-getter, who's excited, who wants big goals and wants to accomplish everything in the world. This second part really excited me because it says, because you're new and you make up in numbers what you lack in skill, doesn't mean you continue that forever. It doesn't mean that you overestimate how much prospecting you need to do forever and you just never get better. What it actually means is over time, you should consciously focus on getting better. Over time, you should be training and drilling and role-playing and studying the sales game and studying your industry and studying business and other successful business owners and entrepreneurs in order for you to get better. Because as you get better, your ratios will also get better. And that's the key that's so important to understand here. It's great to make up in numbers what you lack for in skill, but eventually you should level up your skill. You should be getting better. You should become better at presenting, at prospecting, at presenting your proposals, at closing deals, at handling objections. You should become better over time. And as you do, then your numbers and your ratios and your targets and your income and everything should start to increase. And that's really my favorite part. That's what gets me excited. So just understand that when you're a new sales professional, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. When you're more mature in your sales game or in your business and you're more experienced, then you start to skill up. You start to really add tools to your arsenal. You start to really get better in terms of the skill set, and you start to understand your industry better and understand your product better. And as you do, your numbers should increase, your ratios should increase, and you should be making more money, and you should be hitting bigger revenue targets. And that's the goal. That's what you want to strive for. And that's the second part of the law of averages principle. So there you have it, why prospecting is the oxygen and the lifeline of your business. I really hope you're enjoying and loving this sales training series that I'm doing as much as I enjoy making it for you. And that being said, stay tuned. I have a lot more content coming, way more exciting things coming, and I'll be answering a lot of specific and direct questions on my other social platforms that I'm getting and addressing them here for everybody to continue with this trend of our sales training university. Again, my goal is to give you a university level education in sales and in business, and to compress over a decade of my own experience into days for you. That being said, see you next time.